Well, Guy Ritchie, you're back with your yearly film. Were you any good? Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of the Apple TV Plus original movie, Fountain of Youth. This is directed by Guy Ritchie. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Guy Ritchie is back for his yearly iteration of filmmaking. This time he has a film that stars, of course, John Krasinski and Natalie Portman as a brother and sister who have drifted apart from one another but used to be explorers with their father. Of course, Natalie Portman went and had a kid in this world, and of course, she is now a curator or a director of a museum. John Krasinski is still the Indiana Jones / whatever Nick Cage was / whatever whatever Matthew McConaughey was in Sahara, so on and so forth. Mummy with Brendan Fraser, and he ends up getting hired by a character played by Brendan Gleeson. They decide they're going to go look for the Fountain of Youth, and Natalie Portman's character and her son get pulled into the mix against their will in a lot of respects, and it turns into a, let's say, Sahara / the Mummy / National Treasure / what was that other film? We'll just say those three films. Indiana Jones, that was the other film type of movie, with, of course, bad guys who are chasing after him, people trying to keep the secret. And it's directed by Guy Ritchie, who has done a film pretty much every year at this point in his career. Now, I seem like I'm really upset by this movie as I was talking about it, but the synopsis is pretty straightforward, to be fairly honest. Like I said, it's a movie that is very much in the vein of those Globe Trotting, Uncharted, Mummy type films. But Guy Ritchie is a pretty competent director. I like a lot of his films. I think he gets a lot of money sometimes from films that don't do very well or just aren't well received, and that's completely fair because some of his movies are pretty bad. But I'm a fan of stuff like, his stuff he does with Jason Statham, and I like the Sherlock Holmes movies, and I think he's just a fun director, to be fairly honest, and that's just how I look at it. And then he's got John Krasinski, he's got Natalie Portman, he's got Alonso, who of course is in The Boys, he's got Brendan Gleeson, who I love to death, who I think is fantastic as an actor. He's got a $180 million budget to work with this to make a really interesting, fun, been there, done that before type of film. But the question really remains, is it good? Is this Aladdin, or is this Wrath of Man, or what is this when it comes to Guy Ritchie's material? Well, with the help of James Vanderbilt as a writer, I can say that I've had a very hate-love relationship with this movie. I hate the fact that it doesn't really produce anything interesting. I think it's very vanilla. I think it's a pretty bad movie overall. I think the chemistry between Natalie Portman and John Krasinski is some of the worst I've seen this year. Some of the characters, like the Alonso character, gets left behind and given not much to do, to be fairly honest. Brendan Gleeson's character is just kind of there, but has cool abilities, but he's dying and he's very rich. That's why he's looking for the Fountain of Youth. I think it borrows heavily from like every movie you've ever seen in this type of genre, the action, globe-trotting, treasure hunter type movies. But with all that said, I still had some fun with this movie. I really did. I just felt that it was a movie that for 2 hours, it's like The Mummy Returns. It's very illogical. It's very stupid. The characters are dumb, but I still kind of just went with it. It's weird. After as much as I could just complain, I just like these types of films when they can be bad and terrible, but they hit that itch, they hit that drive in your brain that just goes, all right, I can't stand this. Is horrible. This is terrible. But I'm just having fun watching it. To be fairly honest, the National Treasure movies are like that. The Mummy movies are like that. Indiana Jones can be like that. It's very weird. Sahara is like a really terrible movie, but I enjoy going for the ride. And I don't know if that's allowed, to be fairly honest, as a critic, but I just kind of have to go there knowing that it's a really terrible movie, but I'm enjoying what I'm watching. I'm not having like the worst time ever. I just understand that this is a terrible movie with characters that don't have any compassion really when they're kind of what they're doing. They feel really bored in the movie. They felt like they were given a pretty sizable, payday when it came to these movies. And it is a shame because I want to like truly love this movie and truly feel like it's a great movie. But Guy Ritchie is a much better director than this. I think when he's given like smaller budgets for movies, I think his movies turn out way better than they do here. I think something like the Gentlemanly Warfare, or whatever that movie was with Henry Cavill, was a pretty fine movie. It was a pretty entertaining movie, and stuff like that is fine. But when you get into the Aladdin, when you get into the King Arthur, when you get to this, clearly Guy Ritchie is very talented at what he does, but clearly he doesn't know how to handle his budgets, or at least get something interesting out of his budgets, especially when he has high budgeted stuff. And I don't know, I still like King Arthur. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed that movie for as stupid as it was. I kind of liked, Aladdin a little bit, even though I think it's a sacrilege against humanity that movie got made. And I kind of enjoyed this movie for what it's worth. It's horrible and terrible and not very good, and probably one of the worst movies you're going to see this year and all that stuff. But I think in the end, if you knock all that out the window, you just go for the ride and just realize you're watching something terrible, and the CGI is terrible, and the ending is convoluted and like cringeworthy. I don't know. You can have fun. We're allowed to like these types of films. That's why a lot of the movies in the 80s and 90s that were really terrible and a lot of fun, like the Street Fighters and stuff like that, you come to know and love them because there's something that scratches like that inner itch of a childhood that you like and all that good stuff. So I don't know. Everything's bad about this movie, but I still went with it. I still had fun with it. It like made me feel happy at the end that I got to watch a movie like this, because it is what it is. That's how I gotta look at it. That's my positive. It is what it is. It's 2 hours long. It's not very competent, but it does what it does to scratch that itch that I really enjoy when it comes to globe trotting, treasure hunting movies and stuff like that. So I don't know. I hated this movie, but I enjoyed it the same. So take that for what's worth. In all honesty, there are much better globe trotting treasure hunter movies out there. This is probably the weakest one. But if you like these movies, go watch it. It's fine. It's not the worst thing you'll ever see. So, terrible movie, but entertaining just the same. So there you go. Anyways, with that said, that is my rambling rant of the movie Fountain of Youth, Guy Ritchie's film on Apple TV Plus. Yeah, so there you go. Thank you so much for watching. Comments below. What's your favorite globe-trotting treasure hunter type movie? Is it something like The Mummy or National Treasure? Let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.